Hello, Soapyine. I see today we are looking at a Felisa deck. You said that we want to, what was it? I want to put counters on my creatures, stack them for value, and make a ton of inklings, and then either use those inklings for a massive chain of sack triggers or just crash out. That's possible in Orzhov. Silly, comma spooky. I think that's about right. You're not going to get to scary with this type of strategy, but we can get a little something going. No caveats for additions. Current complaints are thing is too weak to matter, and we can't do it reliably. Heaven. We want to keep the cards that make Inkling tokens if we can. Where are my Octoling tokens? Okay, so you would really, really like if this deck was like Splatoon coded, I'm guessing. So our commander, 4 mana, Flying Mentor. On attack, you get to put a 1/1 counter on something with lesser power. I do want to say, from the jump, that sucks. That is very bad, and we definitely should not be relying on her to put our counters on. When a non-token creature dies, if it had counters, make X tap 2/1 Inklings with flying where X's counters on it. Okay, we take one big thing, we turn it into a million squids, and then I ink you. Down with that. Our first section is Blood Bags. On death, put 2 counters on each permanent you control as a creature or vehicle. Okay, that's pretty good. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put any number of non-land permanents with total mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. I'm going to do a quick curve check before we look at everything else. Hell yeah, that almost certainly works. I think we have, I do want to say, I think we have different problems if your curve stops at 6. I don't know if you know this. The green players will keep playing lands after they get 6. Some decks can get away. Oh, whoa, whoa, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, we got some problems. Yeah, you don't want to be super top end heavy. You do probably want to be a Weenie's deck, but having nothing at a high mana value is concerning unless some of the things you can double spell are very, very powerful. So if we go back to Blood Bags, great. When this creature dies, draw X, lose X, where X is number of creature cards in target player's graveyard. Fucking horrible, but I'm glad you only care about the Inkling cards. On death, put X 1/1 spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Very bad. This guy's great. This is our only 6-drop. I would say he's probably not great unless I see ways to loop him. Like, this is still a fine effect to get, hey, ladies, don't fight, no fighting. This is a fine effect to get one time, but decks that really like this guy are like after turn 5, once a turn, I'm playing and killing Kokosho. Enters with 8 revival counters on it. When it dies, if it had a revival counter, return to the battlefield with 1 fewer. That's really clever, since Felisa doesn't care about the type of counters. Okay, I love that. And then, hell yeah, Solemn Simulacrum. I think Solemn Simulacrum is probably a pretty good litmus test for where you want to end up power-wise. Like, as soon as this guy is no longer good enough for the deck, we're probably cooking too hard, or we're probably trying to do things that are more powerful than our commander is. Blood Fiends. On death, return something to hand unless they pay a tax for it. Sure. Blood Artist. I don't believe in this as much, but you did talk about a bunch of aristocrat triggers, so sure. I do love Recursion. I do love Recursion that gets counters on itself. Carmen's great. Corpse Knight and Alenda also fine. Yeheni's phenomenal. Servandum's phenomenal. And then we have a normal aristocrats package. Card draw. Cap. Sure. Cap. Sure. And then low quality, but okay. All right, so our card draw is not very good. These 8 things do all say that you draw cards on them, but I think they're relatively low quality compared to the rest of the deck. Counter distribution system. Stack a creature to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Rena's fucking hot. Cathar's Crusade is, of course, going to be useful, even if I hate you for it. When a non-token creature dies, make a 2/1 Inkling. I don't think this is good enough, frankly. Because our commander is already doing this, I feel like this is one of the slots that we would be better served with just another card that puts counters on. I also want to note, this is way too few for counter distribution system. some broad heuristics of what will make a deck work. If you have 10 of something, which is what you have here, that is enough to be confident that you will see one of these cards a game. If you have less than 10, you may not even see it in the average game. The number of cards you need to be certain that you're going to play multiple of those a game, 25. You can get away with slightly lower if you have really robust card draw. Let's say your commander draws cards. Let's say you have 25 pieces of card draw for some reason. You're a blue player nut job. But at 10, you're probably only ripping one, and they're not all made equally because this is a fucking protection spell that you tagged as counters because it said counters on it, and you are a little bit of a liar for this because it is just one 1/1 counter on everything, and Felisa really wants us to stack tall. Like, I think the dream interaction that I'm going to be critiquing this by is looking at Felisa and thinking, okay, I want one creature. I want Felisa. I want one creature with 12 +1/+1 counters on it, and I want Cathar's Crusade. And then I want to sack the motherfucker with 12 +1/+1 counters on it, and I want 12 Cathar's Crusade triggers. And if I can throw in, like, a Corpse Knight or an Elenda on top of that, or a Blood Artist or something, sure. But that's the dream. Shadrix is great. Micaeus is fine. I do think we are worrying too much about putting counters on everything instead of playing for that one big... You want to ink somebody. Splatoon somebody. Sperm Harpoon, if you're familiar with how octopi reproduce. So I think one of the reasons you're finding this ineffectual so far is that you're probably getting like a couple creatures on board, and then you can maybe put 1 to 2 counters on each of them, which will convert to maybe 2 or 3 inklings, and that's like, it's just not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. If this had partner, it'd be in the command zone. Yeah, sure, little cutie. 1/1 counters mentioned. Ozolith Enjoyers, rise up. Interaction, sure. I don't think we need to investigate this too heavily. You have 9. You'll see 1 piece a game. Good for you. Lands. Okay. Improvements can be made here, but I don't think it's the most deeply necessary thing. You don't need any of this unless you change the mana curve. Quite frankly, there is no shot you need to be worried about making treasures. I mean, land tax is good. I hate to say it, good for deck thinning in the long run. But you certainly don't need to be playing Mana Rocks. I don't think you need to be playing Archaeomancer's map because your curve is very happy to just go land drop, land drop, land drop. I can cast 75% of my deck. So these can just be more fun utility things. Sack outlets. These are also incredible, incredible mistakes. You are building too much like an Aristocrats deck and not enough like a deck that's going to ink somebody. It is sacking a big thing for big value. Let me go from the top. Sacrificing a big thing for big value is different than sacrificing a lot of things to nickel and dime somebody, is different than wanting to have a lot of creature cards in the graveyard. Think about it this way. Joseph Stalin didn't get tens of millions of people dead because he was really good at knife fighting. It is a different order of operations that you're following. So I don't even think you're going to have a very full graveyard, which is why I don't believe in these. If you want a full graveyard, you want to be self-milling. You don't want to be like one body at a time, filling it up. And the thing you want also isn't even, you don't really need free sack outlets. You need the sack to matter, and you need the creature you're sacrificing to matter. Again, for that dream interaction of, all right, I got 8 counters on my guy. I'm gonna bring in Courtney. Courtney, if you could just come into the room for one moment, I would like to draw 12 cards and make a bunch of octopi. Get that, man. Pronto. That's the type of thing you need to be doing. So I would recommend a relatively complete rebuild. And what I would rebuild around is, how do I put multiple counters? You know, 10 plus is the dream. It's going to be really hard to get to the dream. How do I put multiple counters onto one thing and then sacrifice it in a way where its power matters, its toughness matters, anything else cares about the number of +1/+1 counters on it? Our commander already does, which is great. And then, so those cards are going to be captured under the tag, I think, power matters. I think that's going to be your best bet. So I want you to remember this Scryfall tag. It is O tag power matters, commander black white. I think you also want to put in O tag sacrifice outlet. So Technomancer is another big one. Ghoul Caller Gisa is another phenomenal one. This will let you double up. Now, if you only want to make Inklings and you don't want any other tokens, I understand that. But Ghoul Caller Gisa will say, hey, you get that one big guy, 10 Inklings, 10 zombies, go crazy. Shadowheart will be great for card draw. Ooh, whole different deck, I think, because I don't think we want to verge into base power 1/1, but oh man, would that be cute. That's clerics only. Vish Call would be a pretty funny top end. Free sacrifice outlet that will put the counters back onto him so he can almost Ozolith himself, and then he's a big flying lifelinker. But check out Flesh Carver. It's not a free sack outlet, but it is a sack outlet that is going to get counters back onto him for the trouble, and then when he dies, you get another big guy. This is what's going to create that like self-sustaining chain of endless triggers that just feels like non-stop bullshit is hitting the table. Icar Explosion is almost definitely too much money. Tormented Thoughts is really, really funny. Don't do this. Don't play this. At the tables you can play this deck at, this card's going to get you bullied, but it's very, very funny. So what I would be looking into is how can I put more than one +1/+1 counter on a creature at a given time, rather than just how do I get it as wide as possible. So let's look at, I don't really know +1/+1 counter cards in white, but I'm sure there is a tag for it. Gives PP counters, I guess, is the one we're looking for. And then we want to go commander. Black, white. Oh god, there's the lifelink route, which is truly perilous. All right, I know I just talked about not doing it on everybody, but Drana is a good one to do it on everybody, at least compared to what you currently have. Because if you do ever want to use the mentor method, you are going to have to swing her. And having another flying baddie is almost never a bad thing. Another life gain method. You could probably give Guide of Souls a shot. We do have quite a lot of creatures, and we do intend to be making quite a lot of Inklings. You can keep stacking these two +1/+1 counters onto the same creature over and over and over again. Aether Spark's only one. Fucking Pip-Boy, baby. Flexible utility, that's what I'm talking about. Flexible utility. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You could do Orzhov Advocates. This probably gets you fucked, but I think it is an interesting political piece that this would give you early engine to stack up big counters on one guy really fast, which is what we need to make the deck work. You could Noble Heritage for the same reason. And then the other thing, the elephant in the room that I'm not addressing, but we should address because it could be effective, is the other way to do this is to make your counter creation system life gain related. There's a ton of stuff that says, like, oh, you gained life? Put a counter on me. Oh, you gained life? Put a counter on your team. Oh, you gained life? Put that many counters on me. I don't really want to do that because I think that's going to be a little bit too confused. I do think you want the GT as well. What I'm looking for is I want to see low mana setup pieces that by the time we play our commander, we can feel somewhat confident about putting 2 or more counters on something per turn. Like you could even a Johnny. You could on Offenza, but I don't think it's necessary, and we're only at 31 creatures, which is not a million. Smile at Death would not be a bad idea for this type of more casual deck. So let's take like 5 minutes and see if we can rebuild this quick style for the end of this. Oh wait, I can just take the Moxfield link. I'm gonna name this All right. So stuff I don't really believe in. Don't think you need Blood Artist. Combat Calligrapher's cute. Don't think you need that shit. Actually, Esper Sentinel should probably come back in because if we get huge bigness on Esper Sentinel, then we're set. Don't need Hollowed Spirit Breaker. Don't believe in Morbid Opportunist. Don't believe in Zulaport Cutthroat. You do not need these sack outlets or these rocks, I hope. Okay. And then we get Noble Heritage. Let me see if I can just pull up all the things I was looking at. We Technomance ruthlessly. All right, I just royally fucked your curve, but I promise it's going to be okay. Okay, we got to go back to... Well, I don't think I got the equipment. All right, and we go back to gives PP counters. Ooh, I like Conformer Shuriken for this. Pay 3 life, put a counter on the creature? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, bro. That's whenever a knight you control, which isn't quite good enough. We're not double spelling, so fuck that. I like Keleth. I don't think we're recurring enough for that to be reasonable. All right, great sort of tier. These are a lot of bad cards. I don't think, full transparency, I don't think this edit of the deck is going to work perfectly because I was just grabbing stuff really quickly. But I want to at least look into the potential of how do we stack up one guy instead of just worrying about aristocrat stuff all the time. So we get one land. How many lands did you have? 38. Okay, that was just royally unlucky. 2 lands, Luminarch Aspirant, and Diabolic Intent. Sure. So turn 1, we do nothing because we're a fair player. Turn 2, we get a setup piece. Turn 3, we do nothing because we're fair. We give her a counter. Turn 4, we play our commander. We give her a counter. All right. Not particularly imposing, but like we've taken game actions. Turn 5, we almost certainly play Carmen. Just such a good card. Beginning of combat, we give her the counter. We swing with Felisa. We mentor Luminarch Aspirant. Hopefully, we can catch somebody lacking with a 3/3. Now I want to show you some sauce. Not actual sauce. You're gonna die if you do this. But I cast Unspeakable Symbol. I pay 30 life. I Diabolic Tutor, sacrificing Luminarch Aspirant. I put a counter on her, gain 1 life, so I'm at 11 now, and I make 12 Inklings. And I get to get whatever card, you know, whatever card I think will make me not die because I've just Necropotence 1/1 countered. But to me, this is the dream. And that dream can be established either by getting a confluence of these like Luminarch Aspirant sort of tier, getting multiple things that will put 1 to 2 1/1 counters on every turn, or you hit the high roll and you draw a fucking Unspeakable Symbol. But you don't want to be playing for this like, oh, how do I at 5 mana, you know, always give my board 1 counter? How do I get everybody a little bit bigger? We need a hero. We need a champion creature. And that champion creature, we just pump the shit out of. Like this playtest, it's Esper Sentinel. And your Witchclaw Talisman's crazy work in the bracket you're doing. I would recommend cutting the tutors for even more synergy pieces or like removal or card draw. The thing you're trying to do does not need tutors, and the number of tutors you have is probably going to push you into playing against decks that are just straight up much better than you. But if you want to do the funny hee-hee-hoo-hoo, sack for value, get Inklings, that's what I would recommend. This link I will put in the description of this video, and I think that is like, again, very rough draft. I missed monologue tax. I'm sure there's some other stuff that I missed as well, but this should be enough to get you started with the change to directionality. And then I think you can just bounce on it crazy style with Inklings. Truly, truly. Just focus on how do I get as many counters on as possible in one shot. Or if I'm only putting 1 on, it has to be like hyper efficient and hopefully will give me other types of flexibility. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments or via email if you have any feedback, and have a great night.